See, I'll tell you, person who's joining an organization, it's purely works like a marriage.
The fast-growing startup might not be the right choice.
In a very short time, I was made to understand that I'm not good for finance.
Okay.
And that actually broke my self-confidence.
So if my father would have not said that particular sentence, I would have been a doctor. So, hi guys, welcome to Prosperr Talk. This is Manas Gond, CEO and co-founder of Prosperr.io. Today we have a guest, Amita. Amita is a seasoned HR with 12 years of work experience. She has worked as an HR in a factory and in a high-growing startup. She's skilled at a startup from 15 to 500 employees, and currently she is working as a consultant. Hi Amita, how are you?
I'm good, and thank you for inviting me here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about a bit let's say a journey from start. Where were you born? Okay. And then how was your schooling and all those kind of thing? Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Manas. So I've been brought up in different cities of the country. I was born in Rajasthan in a small village, brought up in Mumbai, moved to Surat for my high school, moved to Pune for my education, then at various places for jobs, right from a small town in UP to a city like Bangalore. Have moved almost about 6 to 7 cities for my job stints as well. So feels nice. I take a lot of pride in whatever I've achieved. But also it comes with a lot of sense of responsibility as well. As once you come at a place of authority, you also have the responsibility to not misuse that power and give back to the society as much what you have learned from that.
Yeah. So yeah, and let's talk about your childhood. So you said like say you were born in Rajasthan. So how the transition happened from Rajasthan, a small city in Rajasthan, or I would say a small village in Rajasthan, to let's say moving and doing the schooling in let's say a high tech growing, or let's say a tier 1 city just like a Mumbai. Correct? How was that?
I was born in Rajasthan and spent couple of years there, but I was majorly brought up in Mumbai. There also I gone to one of the best schools.
So what was your journey? Let's say you started from nursery there, or let's say how was that? Till which class you studied there?
So I've done complete high schooling from there, from first standard to 10th standard, and it's been a nice journey as a childhood, especially because I've had a very comfortable life, and my parents have helped me lay a very strong foundation in terms of values and the aspirations which I've built for myself.
Got it. So yeah, now coming back to let's say after school, okay. So you said you went to Surat as well after high school.
Yeah.
So what made you to go to Surat after high school?
My father, he shifted business from Mumbai to Surat.
Okay.
He's in business of textiles.
Mm-hmm.
So as you know, Surat is the hub for textiles.
It's the textile hub. Yeah.
So that's the reason why we moved along with the family to
Got
Surat.
It. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there you did your let's say 11th and 12th.
Yes.
Correct. So how did it feel? Let's say you might have left lot of friends in Mumbai, correct, and then moving to that. So it might not be tough. And when you are in your teenage, okay, everything, or let's say anything which you do, okay, seems to be let's say it's very very close to our heart, correct? So how was this journey? Let's say moving out from Mumbai, going to Surat for your studies, okay, along with the family. How hard was that?
Yeah. In fact, I was homeschooled in Surat for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
While I was doing my 10th, actually, we moved as a family to Surat. But since it was a very crucial year of education, 10th standard, I continued it in Mumbai with my school's help. But I was homeschooled in Surat for that whole year, and I appeared for my boards. So the transition was slowly settling in that I'll be staying here. But it was not very difficult because I had a very strong support system in form of both my parents and my sibling. They were always there if I did not like something or anything, or if I was facing difficulty in adjusting to a new school or to new friends or new place, they were always there to help me out or hear me out. So it did not feel as much of an issue or a problem. I was very clear in my head that I want to pursue education or in business studies. So I was sure if I concentrate in the next 2 years, I'll be able to, go to a college which will be able to provide me best of the education which is available in the country.
So let's talk about, let's say, how, let's say, after, let's say, your intermediate, or what we call it 12th class.
Yeah.
Okay, so at that time you were not fascinated about like engineering and all. I think, let's say, when I was in let's say class 8th or 9th,
Yeah.
okay, I was fed either I have to be a doctor, either I have to be an engineer.
Yeah.
So my father was a doctor, so he was 100% sure I will be just taking up a, let's say, biology in my 11th 12th. But yeah, let's say because of some situation I told him I will not be doing it. So I will just tell you duration. So let's say I have to, let's say, during that time, so I studied with a very very good school, correct? Okay, in that particular school, when I was just filling form, okay, and I have to submit that. Even at that time, since I was good with both, I was good with maths, I was good with biology, okay, and let's say I was just trying to just write something out, correct? Ki, what should I do? Okay, my father said just one thing, whatever you like, do that. I have no say in that. And then what I did, instead of biology, I just wrote a math. So if my father would have not said that particular sentence, I would have been a doctor. Okay, so this is how I would say, correct?
Right.
So yeah, so this is what I say. Let's say I can relate this.
Yeah.
It's not about how you take or what journey you take. It's about the support system. You have a support system of your parents, or let's say a sibling, but you need to have a support system to have a let's say a good life, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, so what about that? So you never thought about engineering and all?
No, I was very clear in my mind, and surprisingly, always business studies is what appealed to me.
Yeah.
And I think it was 7th or 8th standard when I made it clear to my parents, and my parents were okay with that.
Okay, so I was just talking about my journey of, let's say, how I end up choosing maths, correct? So we talk about support system. The support system is, let's say, very important for any person who is just trying to grow, correct? So yeah.
I do agree to a very large extent to have the right support system in terms of family first, especially in childhood, and then in terms of your friends, or in terms of your extended family also. It's very important to have that support system built for you.
So let's talk about the college journey. Okay. Where did you graduate from? Correct. And let's say, how was that?
Yeah, so I've graduated from Symbiosis Pune. I've done BBA as part of it.
So one thing which I saw, let's say, which I can analyze, okay, the organization, let's say the people who comes from Mumbai, Surat, or a business side of, let's say, any kind of commerce of, let's say, Kolkata. So these people, what I see, let's say, they do dare to take, let's say, business. They end up taking BBA or do CA because that. Do you think the subject which you choose are mostly driven by from the locality or the region where you belong?
I think it does have some subconscious effect on you. You may not even realize it. And actually, numbers always elude me. And I thought I'll make a career in finance. That was my first thought when I entered the business studies. But it's not necessarily true. My brother, he is an engineer. And he never thought of commerce as a subject. So I think it's your personal interest as well. But I'm sure subconsciously it might have played in my head. I cannot guarantee that as such. So after my business studies, I joined graduation. I joined one of the big fours.
Okay.
And I wanted to make a career in finance with the same background which you thought, right? From a particular background, you think you'll be really good at numbers. But I was, in a very short time, I was made to understand that I'm not good for finance.
Okay.
And that actually broke my self-confidence to a very big extent, because you've never seen failure all this while, right?
Got it.
And then one day you enter, the professional world or the corporate world, and you're said that you're not good for it. So I took a break, and during this break, I thought about what should be the next part.
If you don't mind, let's say, see most of the people, let's say, when they graduate out of the college, correct? So most of the people face the harsh reality of, let's say, what the commercialization of your subjects look like. Okay. And these are something, let's say, which are beyond the expectation. Okay. So in let's say, whenever you are there in college, okay, mostly you think of a fancy world. Okay, you will be doing this stuff, that stuff. You will be doing work which impact masses. but when you go to the commercialization aspect of it, it's a same kind of desk job which you do, correct? The same kind of monotonous. So do you think like this is something which happen in any organization like Big Four or any other thing, if you would say?
Yeah, and see, the practical aspect of any education which you do, whichever stream you do, may not match with your thoughts, which you might have thought ki this is how it will work out, right? You might be doing one set of all what you learned repeatedly day in day out, and it may not interest you sometimes, and sometimes you make wrong choices also, right? So it's not only the harsh realities of corporate world, but it's also upon what opportunities you get in your life, right? You've studied a vast subject, but there are not as many opportunities in the market as you may want to be to take your first choice or to practice your first choice. Yeah.
So do you think so, let's say when you said about, let's say you came to know after 1 year, okay, the finance is not something which I can take up the future. So how did you cope up with that particular fear? Okay, a year before you said, okay, you were having a thought where you were saying, let's say, okay, the finance is something which I'm good at and I will pursue my career. And after 12 months, or someone said, or maybe you realize yourself, finance is not something which I can do. Of course, I can correlate. Okay, you might have went to some kind of shock, correct? And then how you think, let's say, you coped up with that, okay? And how do you think so? That was very important, or let's say the character or the confidence, I would say, there should be a confidence which might have been around you, correct? So how do you feel about those things?
Yeah, the day I took this decision to leave the job and just go back home, I wasn't sure what I'll do. It was very impulsive, but when I went home, nobody asked me, why did you do this? Awesome. They just gave me time. They never asked me, why did you do this? And I also did not know what is my future plan.
This again brings to ours the support system. You need a support system in any form.
Because, sometimes you don't want to even answer why, and you don't even have an idea of what will you do next. Okay. It's a scary situation, to be honest. But, when people are not around you keep asking you, what are you doing next? What will you do? What are you going to do? That gives you time and bandwidth to think about what are you going to do next, focus on your next steps. So I remember I just told to myself that what is done is done. You will not get this opportunity again. You've come back home. Okay. So what are you going to do next? If you're not good in finance, then what can you take? And I think apart from finance, marketing and human resources were two other major streams in business studies. And I was, navigating more towards human resources. And the reason somewhere subconsciously it played in my mind was that maybe if I was given a right guidance, during my onboarding or in my job to perform it right, I would have done it right. Because somehow I was not able to take this up that it was all, I was not able to perform for some reason or whatever. So I think that was the reason. Then I started playing on what are my strengths and how can I put it to use. And that's why I started navigating towards human resources.
Okay. So let's talk about the first job, correct? So can we discuss about the first job? Let's say, how was your experience? And I heard, let's say we were having a chat while before, okay, when we were not recording. So we heard, let's say I heard something which I think so you should share with the audience, okay? So yeah, let's talk about that.
So I was working with one of the most reputed companies in the country. This is after my MBA, and I had a posting in a factory, and the factory was based out of a very, very, very small town, which was very difficult to locate on map also. In Uttar Pradesh. And
what was the name of that city? I missed it again.
It's called Babrala.
Okay. So I heard this today first thing, let's say when we were talking. Okay. So this is the first time I heard.
It's close to Aligarh. Aligarh is what you might have heard of.
Aligarh is something which I've heard.
It's 60 kilometers from Aligarh. So that's the closest city which you will...
Which we can recognize at least.
Yeah, which we can recognize. So it was a very nice stint, I must say. it gave me a perspective to a completely different world. Wherein today we are talking about careers, there is a whole lot of world which is only talking about jobs because that's what they are looking for there,
Okay.
right? And it gave me, as I told you, it just dawned upon me that how privileged I am.
Got it.
You know, I was talking about the campus placements. We visited diploma colleges in many small towns
Okay.
of UP. Okay, and you see. You just the kind of infrastructure which is there. You see that you see the faculties who do not visit for months for
For
yeah.
and these are the government colleges.
These are government colleges, and even in it's not easy. Forget having a good faculty. There's no faculty, right?
And these people are also, let's say, they are not exposed to the outside world, correct?
They're not
how
exposed
we are,
to
how we are
so that's
exposed.
what our starting points are different.
Yeah.
And they want to come to corporate organizations. They have very, very different background from what you might have ever heard.
Yeah. So this is a story which I can clearly say. Let's say you are talking a story of the real Bharat, and we are staying in a tier 1 city, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say, if you see as a Bharat as a whole, correct? If you see, let's say, most of the people, they look for a job in order to meet the survivor need.
Yeah.
They need money for their education, their
Yeah.
kid education, for their medical facility, for their food,
Yeah.
for their shelter. And what we do,
Yeah.
we always cry about, okay, let's say, okay, we are not getting this package. Yeah.
It's a very, very different story. Even before survival, they already have, these are 21, 22-year-olds.
Mhm.
They already have a loan to pay.
Oh,
you
okay.
know which is coming because of they come from a agricultural background. Their parents, their fathers, who are generally farmers, have sold their land to take loan for either for their education or for meeting any other family needs. And they want to join the job so that they just can repay their loan.
That.
Yeah. So it's very different. That's what I'm saying, that our starting points are very different, and to acknowledge that.
So how was your journey there as an HR, correct? You are dealing with such kind of employees, okay? For, I guess, you might be some of the most respected people there, correct? They might be looking up to
Yeah.
correct, for any kind of, let's say, grievance redresser and all.
Yeah.
So what do you think, let's say, when it comes to HR? Okay, mostly all the people what I have interacted with, let's say, I would say 10 to 15 HR in this past month, correct? Most of the HR people, they talk about how I have catered the CXOs, okay?
Yeah.
However, I was able to manage, or let's say, the high paying employees, correct?
Yeah.
So I was talking with HR in Google. For her, what I heard, okay, so I take care of a payroll for, let's say, 300 CR, correct? Or let's say anything,
Yeah.
those numbers. So how is this totally different? Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a huge difference.
Yeah,
correct?
right.
So what is that, and what would you suggest to the HR community, correct, as a whole?
Yeah. So there's a huge difference, and since I've seen both sides of the world, I mean, I cannot thank enough for giving me this as a first opportunity to start with,
Okay.
right? Having that is very important, because what are the ground realities, right? The person who is drawing, say, a minimum wage, or the person who is drawing, who's not even paying tax, like falling below the tax limit, for them, the needs, the requirements are very, very different. It is about the job security. It is about the respect. It is about the title which you give them. They come to you for those small things. It's about, this is the first time they will probably be holding a computer in their
Okay.
hand. Yeah. So how do they navigate those things? So you can understand that probably they will not know certain things, and training for them, or probably basic things like you have a graduate program, right, where the head of the plant or the MD comes and meets you, right? What do you talk to them? जो हिचकिचाहट होती है, जो एक लड़का या लड़की बहुत ही छोटे गांव से आया है, you see that firsthand, and how do you make them overcome that? It's a very different thing. And then you see the same person growing in the organization and leading things. it's a success for you as well, right?
So I think so, like the empathy which you have, which I see constantly, which you have as a, let's say, a personality. Okay, do you think, let's say, this particular thing were enhanced when you worked in a, let's say, a remote village kind of thing?
Um, See, I think it is. I am not sure if it got developed there, but it definitely helps. But what I feel is in today's fast-paced environment, whether business want to achieve profits or grow at any cost, or probably even organizations, there needs to come balance in the form of empathy and sympathy, and not only in terms of an HR professional, but all the business managers or the founders, co-founders. It's very important to have to treat humans as humans and contextualize that for
Not
every
as a human resource. Yeah,
right.
this is
It's not a resource, and
yeah.
in fact I do not totally like the word like human resource department. I would always like to call it people department or culture department, something of that sort, or talent or mobility.
So instead of, let's say, human resource, we should start calling as a people resource, or let's say people department.
Yeah, people. I wouldn't like to call it as a resource, though they are resources.
So I would say this, let's say, like all the audience who is listening to this particular podcast, I would say let's start using the word people rather than human resource, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah. Now after that, let's say, moving from this small city, okay, what was your next journey? Let's say, how did you take the next journey?
Yeah, I moved to Mumbai after this stint, and I was working for a very, very different environment, right from, where, I mean, place where I was working in UP, you switch off at 5 o'clock, you actually sleep by 8:30, and you get up again at 30 and start your routine. That's how it was. And right, coming back to Mumbai, again to a fast-paced environment, I joined a startup which was in a very, very high growth stage. So the needs were different. The requirements were different, and everything.
And the
pace was very high, very different, very different, right?
So generally, we see with a high growth growing startup, okay, you do lot of things at very raw phase, okay, without any following the process and all those kind of things. So we were having a discussion today in morning, okay, you said, let's say, you joined as a 15th or 16th employee, something like that, okay, and how was your journey from growing that 16 employee company to a 500 employee company, and you took care of everything, correct? So how was that?
It was very enriching. Made really good friends also there, and which I think is one of the most brightest takeaway from that organization. But otherwise, on work front, right from setting up simple employee files or attendance system, to working with founders and business leaders to understand what is the kind of numbers they want in terms of people, understanding their productivity, or doing analytics in terms of performance, or laying out the structure for grades, everything.
So how do you think, let's say, even I am being a founder of a fast growing company, I see sometimes founder ask for something to get it executed in very, very short time. Sometimes it sounds very impractical, correct? To, let's say, any employee. Let's say I do have an employee who's come to me and say, it's not possible in next 3 days, it's not possible in 2 days, you need to give a time for 10 days or let's say 15 days to plan and execute in a better way, correct? So what do you suggest to these people whenever someone is joining an organization of, let's say, very fast going startup, okay? So before they join, okay, what do you suggest to them?
It needs to be very clear. See, I'll tell you, person who's joining an organization, it's purely works like a marriage. Okay. You just think of that, right? Your value systems should match with the other person's value system. कुछ compromise करना पड़ता है, कुछ adjust करना पड़ता है, and but you'll get to learn a lot from each other. But it should match, right? There needs to come a match. So if you are looking for high-paced environment, then join this organization. If you're not, if you're looking for something else, say a job security, which this organization will not be able to provide at this point of time, then think twice before joining. So that communication. And I think human resources as a team play a very pivotal role. And even people who come first in place with the candidates, they play a very pivotal role to make them understand that what this organization stands for, what is the work culture looking like, what is the work looking like, and then take a call for the individual.
Got it. So it's basically, what do you need in life? If you need a fast growth,
Yeah.
or if you need something where you want to prove yourself, so a startup is the best place. But if you are trying to just have a work-life balance kind of setup, the fast-growing startup might not be the right choice. Correct?
Yes.
Of course, it totally depends upon the level you are coming at.
Yes,
it totally
yes,
depends
totally.
upon different other factors. But yeah.
Majorly you need to understand what you can get out of this organization, how you can contribute to this organization. If that matches, it's a perfect fit for you. If not, then it's always a wise decision to move at a place where it meets your requirements.
Okay. Now today we were discussing. Okay, we have seen a lot of company like say Google, Meta. They keep on laying off, let's say 10,000 or 10,000 of the people each year. Correct. And it has not stopped after 2021 recession which came in. Correct. So what do you suggest to your HR colleague? Okay, what is their role? How can they help you out?
So I think there are 3 skills which you need to pick up during this phase, and one is to understand the productivity of employees.
Okay.
And this exercise needs to be done when the organization is at high growth stage.
Got it.
Right? To understand, what is the number required, what is the ratio which you are looking at. If it is going haywire, you should be the first person to understand that, and talk to the business leaders or to management that if we go beyond this number, it's not working out in the sense of productivity. The second thing what you need to understand is have that empathy while you are having a conversation with employees, to let them know that why this decision is being taken by. It is not about them. It is about the business which is not doing good, and that is the reason why it is happening.
So yeah, so what you suggest, what I can create a summary here is, so whenever let's say founder who is a founder of a high growing startup, okay, they should, instead of just adding human, they should also see whether they are able to increase the productivity or not, whether the market is growing in that particular sense or not, whether adding people are increasing your revenue or not. Correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, so basically at Prosperr.io, let's say me and Dev Kumar, let's say my other co-founder, we were very, very focused about how revenue will grow. Okay, so for the larger extent, we placed all of our money to make sure the startup is, let's say, bootstrapped, correct? And when we found a let's say product market fit, then we started raising the fund, correct? So, and I would say I was fortunate enough to get good investors where they helped me to understand the importance of product, how having a better version of the product will take you to a unicorn status, or let's say unicorn status not just on a valuation number, but the value which you are creating in the ecosystem.
Right.
So yeah, I resonance with the thought. What do you say? Okay, like as a founder, or let's say any as a management, before, or let's say adding any kind of job load, we should be very, very careful whether this is making a positive impact in our revenue or our business or not.
Yeah, because you also need to understand that for whomever you are manning that, that position is open, it should contribute to your business also, not only for a short term, but to a longer term. Otherwise, don't employ full-time employees is what an alternate suggestion would be.
Okay, so you also suggest, suppose if you want to employ for 3 months, okay, just get a higher consultant from
Yeah,
work.
because you're not, then you are communicating, as I told you, it's a marriage. You are also saying I want it for 3 months. The other person is also willing to work only for 3 months, right?
Got it.
It works win-win for both the cases.
Awesome. So now, how was your journey? Let's say this was a startup, correct? Okay, now after this, moving to some other organization.
Yeah. So I took a different role. So what I've always believed in, that taking a different environment or a different context only adds to your learning. So I did not wanted to join another startup or another plant. I wanted another experience. So I joined a group HR role, wherein I was responsible for leadership and strategic projects, which will be carried out of group for 6 different industries.
So most of the audience would not understand what is difference as a group HR or HR. So what is this group HR? Let's say basically even I don't understand what is this group HR sounds. It just sound a group of HR working together, but I don't know. Let's say what is the technical definition of this? Yeah.
So basically, it's a role which is out of a group office, or an office which works directly with the head of HR, and who takes care of different businesses within that group. So if you say, for example, if you just talk about Tata Group, that team Tata Group will have a different HR team. Who might take care of leadership of, say, a Tata Motors or Tata
or TCS or let's say anything.
TCS, So that's what a group office does. So it basically designs and works on some strategic or key projects, which runs directly from the head of HR.
Got it. So group HR mostly I would say it's for the upper management rather than, let's say, the people.
So so not necessarily only upper management. So for example, the project can be as simple as design or training assessments or talent assessments program. So I've done talent assessments. So that basically means when you're hiring at a particular level, right from starting level to the leadership level, what kind of assessments can you give to people?
Got it.
So that while you're promoting people, what kind of assessments can you give them to understand their potential or to understand their skills for the next role? So can you do that? Then third, these are basically projects which are business wide and employee wide projects. It's not necessarily leadership, but something which will impact each of the employees. So for example, it can be building in a benefits program for financial wellness. What can you do about it? And as you understand, it can be right from the lower level to the leadership level, right? So that's what it is.
Got it. Now currently, I guess you have started again. You have started as a consulting kind of thing.
Yeah.
So can you just tell about something about that particular thing?
Yeah. So from there, I moved to Bangalore. All this while I was in Mumbai, while I was talking about my previous stints. And I've joined. Currently, I'm working with a HR consulting firm which consults on talent and rewards majorly. So I'm part of the rewards practice, and I take care of rewards strategies and rewards benchmarking for high growth organizations.
Got it. So what is reward benchmarking? Can you just help us to understand that?
So basically, as you know, your rewards. And when we define rewards, it's not necessarily the compensation which you take, right? It is compensation, it is the benefits which the employee is getting, and it is also the career opportunities which employees are getting being a part of this organization. So what we do is we try and either define these three verticals for the clients, or we try and understand any one part in much depth. So if I talk about, say, compensation, is your structure right? Are you paying right vis-a-vis market? Are you paying high? Are you paying low? Within your structure, are you heavy on fixed, or are you heavy on variable, or are you heavy on LTI? If I talk about ESOPs, how do you design it? What kind of instruments should you have? So those are some of the work.
And so when you talk about benefit, do you also look at the Flexi benefits, which one of the things which Prosperr is very expert, and I would say we have created a state of art product around it.
And it's one of the most emerging trend in benefits area for you.
Okay, so basically you guys tell the organization for SD2 this should be your salary, for SD3 this is the standard salary, because this is what your competitor is giving, the other people are giving in the industry.
That is right.
Correct. And we were also discussing about the Flexi benefit, which a while ago you said, let's say Flexi benefit is something which is picking up the pace, because the freedom which it gives, it try to reduce the taxation on the employee's hand, and it give you much more kind of enhanced salary, correct?
Yes.
Can you discuss, can you just elaborate what the trend you are seeing in this particular industry?
So there are two parts to it. One, of course, with a lot of customization which the Gen Z is looking for in every space, they look for same in the salary structure and the rewards programs also. Pay me what I want. You know, in the fashion what I want, so it works best for me.
So those generation are gone, the basic pay, the HRA, the LTA, and the special allowance.
Yes. So, they probably somebody will come to you and say that I own a home, so I don't need a HRA. Why are you giving me HRA? Give me in something else. So, which works. Similarly, even, you look for benefits like insurance or your parents' insurance, which gets covered as a part of your ATC or ATD. Today, say my parents are young and that I don't care what my company gives as a parental insurance because I'm not going to use it, right?
Got it.
So I will not value it. Or say, I'm a male of 50 years and my company gives me maternity benefit. But what does it mean for me? I'm never going to use this, right? As a male for 50 years, I'm never going to use that benefit. So need to customize the benefits.
So now you suggest, let's say the current Gen Z generation or the current trend you are seeing in employee rewards, okay, is mostly towards, let's say, customizing for each employee?
Yeah, customizing for personas.
Correct.
Yeah,
so if it's a 50-year employee, like he's not gonna get any benefit of maternal or paternal leave. Okay, he wants some other, let's say, like a vacation, like 10 days free leave in a year, or let's say if you compare 20, let's say 2 year, you will get a 20 days leave. Okay, so yeah, those things sound sensible. But do you think like any other product which is designed in a way which can cater the problem, at least in a bigger organization? Okay.
Yeah. I haven't yet, but I have seen Prosperr, and I do feel that it has a lot of potential to solve this problem because conveying this message, communicating it to employees that you have the power to select your benefits or you have the choice to, do it with ease is very important. And I think this app definitely solves the problem. In fact, I would want you to tell about this more, that how is Prosperr helping employees at an individual level to and organizations as such.
So basically, even let's say when we were working, correct? So I started my career in 2015. Okay, before starting a Prosperr in 2022, I was a full-time employee with different organization. What I see, let's say, what struck me out, okay, major portion of my money was going in taxes, okay, and some of the expense which I was doing, correct, in order to earn those money, okay, and these particular things were given by government. Most of the people say, hey, you are an individual, okay, those kind of deduction or those kind of allowances are not given to you by government. It's not like that. That is a false way of saying, or it's a false narrative. The government gives such kind of deduction, but your employer should feel confident. So if you see, let's say my most of the time, let's say when I see my conveyance allowance, okay, it was 1800 rupees. Literally in Bangalore, you are traveling, you are spending 1800 rupees in just 2 days, correct? So it doesn't make sense. When I when me and Dev were working on this problem statement, we figured it out. What's going wrong is the organization which they don't have a capability, or they don't understand the rules which is given by government. But it was not like that. It was about they don't want to make a personalized kind of thing. Okay, so that was one of the deep challenge which we faced. Okay, and then we saw for a conveyance, you can give, let's say, you have in section 17, you have different things where you can pay your employee for the vehicle, you can pay employee for fuel, you can pay employee for your, let's say driver salary, anything.
Uniform, books.
Uniform is now, let's say, something which we have removed. The government has put a let's say kind of a ban. It's only restricted, but yeah, most of the things you can do it. But the mostly thing which I do when I was discussing with this problem, okay, so most of the HR or the CFO said, okay, let's take an example. How will you fight a fake bill which is given by employee? Okay, who will be responsible for the TDS? Then we stuck. It's not about the knowledge, correct? We stuck with this problem. It's not about the knowledge. It's about the product suit. Okay, so let's take example. Say a persona, let's say, who is just married, may be looking for a, let's say, much kind of, instead of she coming to office every day, she would be looking for a way where she can get some other kind of thing. So it totally depends upon the user persona. A 50 years old will need a medical allowance more than any other allowance, correct? Because they might be having a very old parents, they might be having a medical condition for their own self, their spouse, okay, many other things can happen. So this is the reason which we worked on Prosperr.io, okay, and the Prosperr.io, a BP product, the B2B product, delivers the Flexi benefit programs. Okay, we start from, let's say, from giving an app to employee where they keep on uploading their expense, and we categorize it. We verify whether those expense claimed by employees are legit or not, and then we give to the payroll team. So and this is not just a year-end activity, but a month-on-month activity. So this gives us a seamless facility to deduct the TDS from the starting to end, and this is something which we are working on it. Let's see how that goes. Yeah. So what do you think? Like, say, product like this, will it bring any kind of revolutionary change in the industry?
It definitely will. As I told you, Gen Z is looking for customization, is looking for everything at the snap of an app, right? Communication is very important. They need to be, as you said, it's a continuous uploading. Nobody wants to sit at the end of the year, save all the bills.
Yeah, most of the bills even are now computer generated. They get wiped out after 1 month, correct?
Exactly. So this is something which will be really helpful and much appreciated by employees, and organizations will also have a value proposition to talk about it to their employees.
Yeah. So that is something which we are trying to solve. Let's see how that goes. Yeah. So thanks, Amita. It was nice to have you on our podcast today. Okay.
Pleasure speaking to you as well.
Thanks a lot.